Good morning. This is here if you need it. This weekend, I was at a friend was throwing a little day party on Saturday, and there was a bunch of people there. We're all hanging out. It was a good little time. And at some point, this one friend I have is talking to me, and somehow or another we get into her discussing just kind of not liking where her life is at. And more specifically, it was things around like the job she had and whatnot. And the job comes with a lot of esteem, and it comes with a lot of it's literally it's high paying, high singing. It's a good little gig for your ego for sure. And she was talking about how miserable she was and how much she just needed to quit, but at the same time was kind of stuck in this revolving door. It was like, there is a lot of prestige and there's a lot of money that comes with it, and having to justify that and all those kind of things, right? And it was very interesting to talk to her about it, because in a lot of ways it was helping me see where I was sitting in life now, and how I felt about that. Sometimes you get so caught up in just being the whole thing that you forget that everyone else is too. And so getting to really take a second and listen to her talk about something that I'm sure so many of us would be like, that sounds great. Like, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem again if that was my life. And to just really empathize with that and understand the act of bravery that comes with listening to that true inner compass we all have, when it keeps pinging and pinging and pinging like, this isn't it, this isn't it, this isn't it. And we're masochists. We don't like to learn immediately. We like it to hurt a bit. So we hear the voice and we actively go against it for months or years, and then one day it just kind of feels like the walls are closing in and that's all we got, right? So for me, hearing that, it was just incredibly interesting, because she was talking about how she was over it. And as I said, just like the bravery within that, to understand that like alignment is everything. Wherever you're at, there you are. You don't live a title. You don't you don't live a bank balance. Like, these things are facets of your physical reality, but they aren't the they aren't the vantage point in which things are experienced. At the end of the day, that is the most integral part of this whole thing, is the eye that is eyeing. Like, I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah. And so discussed that for a bit and started crying, and it was the whole thing. And I think that in me kind of talking her through that, and having my own experiences in similar ways, I think that really kind of opened up the perspective for everybody. But like I was telling her, once upon a time, I actually had started an app company, full startup. It was like a legal contract app. It was the sexiest thing in the world. But did it, raised the money, raised a lot of money, with some partners I made, and really tried to do it. And really, I felt like on the outside, to a lot of people, it was kind of like, oh, that's, dang, yeah, he's doing it. That's going crazy. Like, and to me, I was on like podcasts and shit. Like, it was crazy. But to me, that was, I mean, it was my baby. I from here to everywhere, you know? And at a point, it just became too difficult. It was too contentious with my partners. There was no real progress that was gonna be had. And yeah, dude, it just like, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it at all. So I remember I had to step away, and just the just that mental anguish of, like I said, hearing your inner compass be so loud every day, but because you invested so much of yourself into something, it 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 said, no, don't listen, don't listen, don't listen. Like, we've come too far, we've come too far. And to put all of that in, right, to then realize that the truest and wholest answer is the fact of, like, no, this is not right. Like, and you wake up every day in just absolute like panic mode every day, because at your baseline, you know this isn't right. The foundation of everything you're building right now is on that. And it was an incredibly difficult lesson for me to learn. And at the same time, it was just like, what's the point? Because similar with her, it was like, for me, going from startup, being on these podcasts, doing these things, like, oh, okay, to deciding that the only thing I wanted to do was make music. The thing that I always turn to as like my favorite shit to do, uh, but I never thought I could get paid for it. And to go from doing that to just being like, nah, I'm actually just going to be a songwriter and make stuff, like, there was a level of embarrassment that came with that, you know? And that's just egoic, but it's just the truth. There was a level of like, he's doing what, you know? And she was talking about how much she would feel that about like leaving this position and this title and whatever. And it's like, that's a very real and honest factor, and it's ugly, but that's just the, if you gotta claim it, to change it. You have to understand, like, hey, this is, you gotta know exactly what you're looking for. And I feel like that was a very acute understanding of a feeling, because it did come with that. Like, yeah, you came with anguish and being just stressed out, and kind of, you know, short triggers with people, but like, it was a lot of embarrassment. And just understanding that compass is always right, and what that had turned into life, into something I would never trade for, has been amazing ever since. But it's like, this thing already has the GPS, you know? Your gut already knows. So I think today, it's just understanding alignment. It's understanding that we have so much sacred data already stored within us. We already have so much, you know, primal instinct that can reorient and align our lives in ways that allow us to be the freest versions of ourselves. So tune into that, and trust yourself. It's always here if you need it.